Hello, this is David Baumblatt from Terrabins Leadership. Thank you for joining. If you're watching this program, then you are interested in leadership. And when we define leadership, there's generally two realms. We define it as the conventional realm, and then we define it in a higher level spiritual realm. And what does that mean? In the conventional realm, leadership is defined as military, economics, and political. Those are the three realms. What are the higher realms? Philosophy, spirituality, religion. I say that because we're going to be talking about that. It's a very interesting story. You'll get it. We're going to come to the end. But if you're also listening here, you'll realize that my background, as I left America in 2010, what I predicted will 100% happen. We are seeing the world unravel. And I wrote this specifically in my book because the title's about the New World Order. I have never predicted that China is going to be the new global superpower. What I did predict, and it's happening, I see it firsthand, not just from China, but from those greedy American corporations and to the American citizens who buy cheap China products, that I've seen it that China will rise to be a regional power like Russia, and there'll be other regional powers, one we're going to talk about today. The world is changing, and it's gotten to the point now that particularly with Trump's actions and speeches, people are starting to see firsthand that the world is changing. And I critique Trump, but in some ways I look at him like a very smart businessman, and he realizes that a corporation, ultimately I still look at Trump as a CEO running a globalist corporation that's America first. And what he's doing is he's seeing this corporation is extended, and the expenses, like a corporation, are going to lead to bankruptcy. And what does he do? He cuts his losses and he refortifies. And so what you're seeing is Trump, and he's playing it correctly, not so in some ways, where he's admitting that the new global world order, America does not have the guns and gold to become the superpower anymore. If the world is changing, and I knew this was going to happen. So he's cutting his losses throughout the world and he's refortifying America. Is this good or bad? We're going to look at it, but in some ways, there's nothing you can do about it. This is the way empires rise, and this is the way the empire is going to fall. And I make it known, before we go into it, look at how the Soviet Union collapsed. The Soviet Union went from a global superpower until now, which is still a very, you could say, reliable regional power. It still has significance. That's going to be the least America will do, but I think it'll go worse, and that'll be in videos to come, because unlike the Soviet Union that collapsed down back to Russia, we don't have anything to collapse down to. Our states are going to split, which is going to be much more dangerous than what happened with the Soviet Union collapsing. But I say at the very least, America will be demoted, you could say, from a global superpower into a very viable and intimidating regional power. But it could get even worse. And I actually think it will. But we'll see. I could be wrong, but it's definitely going to go from a global superpower. Now, any comments or questions, feel free. Now, we started this video off with Joe Rogan mentioning about the whole gender thing. We're going to do a part on that. Then we're going to get into politics, and then we're going to come back. But what I just said is basically the video. But what did I talk to you about? One of the reasons America is going to fall. I mentioned it's about feminism. There's no doubt about it. Remember this phrase: when men do not want to become soldiers and when women do not want to become mothers, the society ceases to exist. And we have that right now. Let's just watch a video and then two clips about feminism in America. But it is one of the reasons that America is going to fall. And I say again, my stance is very simple. If you're a woman and you believe women deserve the right to vote, which means you want equal power as men, then you are a feminist. That's the only question that needs to be asked. Do you believe women deserve the right to vote? That means you believe that women and men should equally share power. You are a feminist. Whether you understand that or agree with it, you're a feminist. And because you're a feminist and you want equality, you will be treated equally like a man. There's no more men, no more women. That's it. And it's up to men basically to stop becoming simps. And if a woman is a feminist, you treat her like a man. And if that treatment continues to go, it will be the women who opt out of this. We have something called fake feminism. We'll go to the video, but I want to make it known everything rests on the man, particularly the white European man in America. But one of them is feminism. You have to hold women accountable. And if a woman wants equality, the right to vote, then she's a man and she needs to be treated equally. So let's watch this video. This is coming from Fox News now, and everyone knows I'm not a fan of Fox News. And what we're going to do is we're going to take it on a level, because what many times is the right, you could say the typical right likes to make fun of the liberals and say, ha, 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 look how woke they are. The Fox News is woke too, and we're going to explain it. Let's watch this quick video. I might skip ahead because we got a lot of videos to go through, but let's take this down and see how it goes.
Her regrets about ditching the idea of marriage and family. Now, her article in Business Insider reads, quote, "I'm 38 and single, and I recently realized I want."
So again, this is a video. We're going to skip through. This is a typical video of an American woman who's a feminist, and now she has regrets she doesn't have kids. This story is becoming similar. But what I want to do is we're not going to focus so much on this woman. We're going to focus on the Fox News presenters after this. So I'm going to skip this quick.
To child. I'm terrified.
Unbelievably betrayed by feminism. I was constantly fed this idea that women can do everything. We don't really need men. Women can have the great career and have the kids that they like and change the tires and do this. I mean, I grew up thinking, and men are great, but like I can do all the same things. I do feel in many ways betrayed by that line of thinking. I kind of want to go back to some of those teachers and coaches.
Okay, I don't think I need to do this video more. I want to get to the Fox News presenters. Everyone gets this point. Feminism is an absolute joke. We know that. And there's a lot of women, lot is an understatement, who are going to have major regrets. And again, I put this problem on feminism on white men. We never should have given women the right to vote. But again, I don't need to do this story. If anyone's got any questions or comments, go for it. But we get it. She drank the Kool-Aid. She went into feminism. And then she realizes that her biggest wish is to become a mother. Now her biological clock is ticked. Her eggs are dried up. And now she hates her life. We get that. Let's go to Fox News, though. Remember, these are the Fox News people that are all into supporting military veterans. So first, let's go to Fox News. So the first thing, what do we see in Fox News? Now, remember, these people are the same people who make fun of the left. And I'm telling you, the same reason that Donald Trump he put the term rhinos into existence, these people are the same way, these Fox News. So we have 4 women in here. Look how they're dressed. Pretty sexualized. And 2, why are they working? Why aren't they home with their children? Then you got one yo-yo dude. He's going to talk later. But first thing, this is Fox News. So these are the right, man. They make fun of the liberals for being woke. And Fox News is like, we know what's going on. So my first question is, why are there 4 women here dressed very sexualized? Why aren't they home with their children? That's the first thought I have. But let's see what now the right gives us good advice to American men.
Okay, I'm going to go deep here. So I have a lot of opinion on this, and I really think that...
First thing I think about her is, why are your tits hanging out? Look at all that makeup on. Trust me, to the women, either one, don't wear makeup or wear so little makeup that men don't even see that you have on. If you've got to wear makeup, it basically means you're an ugly woman. Be proud of who you are. But look at this woman, man. She is smeared up with makeup. Her tits are hanging out. And 2, why aren't you home with her kids? So again, this is Fox News. This is the role model of the conservative movement. Are you kidding me? I've said many times, the left is a problem. The right is a problem too.
Feminism in some ways has really sabotaged women's happiness. And
yeah, feminism, not in some ways. Feminism is communism, that basic line.
And the reason I believe that is because we are asked to do all these different things, right? But then our nervous...
Do you see her makeup, her nails, her earrings? I mean, I don't know what... This is sort of glamorized in the right, these sort of sexy women, and we're going to go into it. That's not conservative women. She should be home raising the children. End of story.
System goes whack. Like, I know for myself, I'm in work mode and then mother mode and then family mode, right? And so your system just completely goes out of whack, which is why I truly believe, and I found this quote and I thought it was so telling, is that the divine feminine is the rawest, wildest, and most honest mirror a man will ever encounter. The awakened man opens his heart and goes to battle. He will tame his dragons and face his deepest shadows, since he knows that deep within, her heart will guide him home. And I think that there is a beautiful balance between.
No, there's not. I have to stop here just to do this real quick because there's so much more important stuff for us to talk about. But feminism is an important topic. We're not reproducing, but you always see these women equal balance. How many guys have been in the military? And you may not have to be in the military. The military is just more in your face, but it could be in corporations too with a dickhead boss. You go in the military, it's like, sir, we're going to be equal. That drill sergeant's going to get in your face and say, listen, you piece of shit, you're nothing. I own you. I tell you what to do. You're going to ask permission to breathe. Same thing. You think when I was in the military as an officer, I'll do stories. And I wasn't the typical yo-yo second lieutenant because I really didn't care about my career. You think I walked around? I should tell some stories in the military. It's pretty hilarious. It's unlike most lieutenants. You think I walked in there thinking, oh yeah, we're buddies? I mean, sure, we have camaraderie. You have to have camaraderie. You have to have respect. We're not equal in power though. The military is a hierarchical organization. You better know your place. You don't think that similarity and sometimes in corporations or companies, he's the boss and you're not. So anyone who has a marriage that says we're equal, you're a cock that's not going to last. Do you know what a good marriage is? Is when the wife, the mother, immediately says, when they talk about power structure, she immediately says, he's the boss. Goes to you. He's like, I'm the boss. I mean, sure, there could be cooperation in certain things. She does this, you do. Well, we get it. But we're talking power. When it comes to power, that man is the boss. End of story. When you're downrange in the military, who is the commanding officer? Because that's where it's going. Now, we don't have in the military anymore. We have military officers here who pass the buck. I get it. These military officers are horrible. But we are going to talk about a military officer later on. But back to my point. The responsibility rests with that officer and the power is there too. Same thing with the boss of the company. But you hear these women, equal balance of power. This is the Fox News. I mean, she looks like a whore. There is no balance of power. You go home and take care of the kids. Your man is your boss. End of story. But I just want to quote on that. It goes back and forth like balance of equal partner. It's not. The marriage is like society, like a country. It is hierarchical. The man runs the home. If he doesn't, it's probably a failed marriage. It's probably a failed marriage. Let's go back. Let's go back to this video. But as you can see, I point this out because these are the role models of the right. This is the right. Are you kidding me? Ain't gonna happen. This society's not gonna work.
In the feminine and the masculine energy, and I know that as a woman, regardless of what any woman says, I think she wants to feel safe with a man, and she wants to be able to feel her feminine energy, but it's very difficult to go into that space when you're trying to fulfill all these different roles, which is what I think this.
No, there's no roles to fill. Motherhood, that's your number one role. A man's number one role is becoming a soldier. And I'll quote on, some people say, no, your number one role is to be a father. It's a soldier. And oh, by the way, it incorporates fatherhood. Number one role of a man, always, every man wants to be a warrior. Every man deep inside wants to be a warrior leader. A woman's role, motherhood. Mother, that's it. No juggling all these roles.
Woman is feeling right now, which is what I think a lot of women, right, in very powerful positions are feeling. And then there's this idea that if you're powerful, you can't be,
Powerful is not an attractive word by women. It's not. And let me. I really don't want to spend too much time on this because there's more important stuff to be doing, but I'm still amazed how men allowed women to have this much power. It's just absolutely ridiculous to me. But when they talk about they have so many powers and equalities, I say again, you want to talk about a strong woman? Women say, I'm a strong woman. How many kids do you have? You show me a woman who's pumped out 10 kids and is a mother to 10 kids. That's a pretty powerful woman. That's a very strong woman. That's a woman who has a lot of respect. But women always say, I'm a strong woman. How many kids you pump out? You don't think women, anyone who served in the military knows this, women get sexually aroused by violent warrior men. Do you know how many times women ask me when I talk, because I don't talk about the FBI, but I would say, I would be very proud that I'm a military veteran. So picking up girls or whatever, I would be open that, hey, I'm a military veteran. They would want to know, did you kill anyone? In fact, women would tell me, because they would find out I'm a boxer. women like to watch. It goes back probably to doesn't go back then. It goes back even before, but back to the gladiator days. When one woman told me, she goes, I love watching men's boxing. It's my version of pornography. Women love violent, powerful men. It turns them on like no tomorrow. Don't fool yourself. So the part of that powerful violence, that is a turn on for women. Men, we're not really turned on. I mean, unless you're going to say you're powerful, that you could pump out 10 kids, cook and clean. I guess so. But if you met a woman, she's like, I'm competitive. I always want to win. I'm powerful. I don't take no for an answer. Generally speaking, that's not very attractive. I mean, I want a woman that says, I'm looking for my leader and I am going to be submissive to this man. I'm going to take orders from this man. He will be my leader and I will be his follower. That's kind of attractive, but don't fool yourself. The power, women are extremely attracted to power, and they're also very attracted to violence. Same thing about raping. Women have so many fantasies about being raped. It's almost to the point it would be unbelievable once you start understanding the female mind. But back to the female, because we're having a problem in America, and this goes to the Joe Rogan clip. Women don't understand what it means to be a woman, and men don't understand what it's to be a man. So news to women, being powerful, being competitive, it's not a turn on for men. It's not. What's a turn on for men? Being loyal to your man, being submissive to your man. I don't even know why I have to talk on this, but go to a foreign country, you'll see it. Let's go. I'm going to read the comments. Let's go back to this. We got so much more stuff to do. I just want to get through this because it is important, feminism of the downfall of America, but it's almost so common sense that it really comes down to cuck men. It really is. If men weren't so cucked, white men, this feminism would never be a problem. But cuck men are cucks, and they allow women to be in this spoiled superiority place, and you wonder why things don't work. But let's finish this out. There's a couple more points in it. Let me go here.
A beautiful wife or a beautiful mother. And so I think we need to go back to really the way God designed us to be, which is as women, we need men, and it makes for a beautiful balance.
Chris, something that struck me about this is something that Katrina mentioned earlier, which is your influences start in the home. So the more.
Oh, I saw this comment though. This is from Mohican Last. Dude, she says, dude, you're messed up. I'm a woman and no woman likes to see men fight. They do. They do. Now, I'm not saying women like to see men fight illegally, maybe like, stomping men's feet in the ground, head in the ground, and dirty fighting and being a bully. I get that. But back to the gladiator days, Mohican Lance, I don't know what type of pussy man you're dating, but almost 90% of women love to see men in combatives. Why do you think women like to see a man in a military uniform? In fact, guess what else is a woman's fantasy? A police uniform. Women love to see it. But it's true. If they found a man who's a bully, I guess, who picks on people, stomps their head in the ground, that. But we're talking a legitimate battle, hand-to-hand combat. 90% plus women get very turned on. And the guy who wins the fight, guess what? Most women want to fuck him. So I don't know what type of pussy man you're dealing with or what type of college you went to, but it's pretty common sense. That's how it is.
The moral of the story to me was that she felt betrayed by her influences. But if she had been influenced a certain way in the home, then there wouldn't have been confusion. Does that make sense?
It does. And I really like the points you just made. I think that, this is a little bit of a weird topic for me to talk about. But we grew up with parents. I grew up with parents that had my brother and I when they were in their early 20s. Okay. And that was their decision. That was great.
This guy's going to be a cuck here. He's probably looking around like, why can't I? Listen, we're going to stop this now. We're going to go right to the debate. Let me first tell this Mohegan Last. 9 times out of 10, they've done studies. If you met a man and you said, what sport are you in? And he's like, I play ping pong. I play tennis. Take out all factors of looks. Women are more attracted to a football player, a rugby player, a boxer, an MMA. It is what it is. For me to even argue with you, your guy must be a pussy. Now, there's a difference between a bully who likes to go around and pick on the weak people, kick them in the head. Remember what did I tell you about law enforcement? There's a lot of law enforcement men, you could say, have the small penis. They're the bullies or they were bullied and they want to be a bully. Nobody wants to date a bully. Men, we don't have respect for bullies, and women don't. That's a different story. If you're a professional boxer or an amateur, but there's no bullying. You go in there, you know, it's fair, square, and you win. But it's a competitive sport. Women, 90% of women, if you have any type of estrogen, you are turned on by that. And if you're not, then your guy's a cop. So what we want to do is, I want to show you the difference between the right, what they think. We're going to do this is the last thing because I want to move on. There's a lot of guys. I'll do videos on feminism. It's really simple in terms of you have to understand women are attracted to men that are more powerful than them. Men are not attracted to women that are more powerful than them. That's a good baseline to understand what's wrong in society. But let's go to this. We're going to do 2 clips and then we're going on the next subject. This is what I'm going to show you what MAGA people view as their ultimate woman. It's wrong. And I'm going to show you what nationalists think is their ultimate woman. I know you're doing comments. Some of these comments I might skip because I can't read them as quick. So now I'm going to show you what MAGA people think is their ultimate woman, and which I'm going to tell you is wrong. So let me just share the screen right here. Hopefully everyone could see that. Let me bring this down here. So this is what we're going to do 2 clips. This is what MAGA people think this is what a woman is. And I want to emphasize this. Now, is this woman generally attractive? It is. I'm not getting on her side. She is definitely an above average attractive woman. These are the things as a nationalist, though, I don't find attractive. One, what the fuck is that gun doing in your hand? If it comes time where women need to shoot and defend a nation, something's wrong. Take the gun out of your hand. We're going to show picture number 2 to understand this. 2, you're just in a bikini. I don't know. You look like a whore. Like, what are you doing? She probably has too much makeup on. You don't need as much makeup on as that. And I'd say anything else. And then again, why are you half naked in a bikini? I don't want my wife or my mother or my girlfriend or my daughter walking around. Like, why are you in a bikini? Even if you want to go to a beach, you could even dress a little bit more conservative than that. But I want to emphasize this picture, and then we're going to show a next picture. But this is the picture of MAGA. And the reason why this is so important is I'm showing you that this country is going to fall apart because even people who look at MAGA, I'm telling you, MAGA is not the right direction. It's a better direction, and I give Donald Trump that. It's not. So here's the MAGA version. Now I'm going to show you the picture of a nationalist right here. Here we're going to come. And so now we're going to look at this picture here. I think everyone can see this. Now, what are we looking at here? The first thing is the flag. The flag of a nation should be considered a sacred object. Now, I still believe in free speech. If you want to burn the American flag, I guess the military veterans say we fought to give you a flag. I get that. If you want to wear it as a bikini, but there's a difference between what you're legally allowed to do or what you should do. So if you want to legally wear the flag as a bikini, as a fucking toilet paper, as burn on the ground, it's your freedom, but it's a sacred object. So where's that flag? It's being hung like a normal flag. Now, take that fucking gun out of your hand. You're not Rambo, women. You're never going to be Rambo out of any movies you watch. Men, we have the gun. What should be in a woman's hands? A baby. That's what you should have in your hands. Not a gun, a baby. Now look at this one. And again, I don't know who this woman is, but look how she's dressed. She's dressed a lot more conservative. I don't know if she's got makeup on. Maybe she's got no makeup on, but she looks a lot more conservative. You know, stop being a prostitute is basically what I'm saying. Have some decency and respect for your body. This woman, sure, she's showing a little skin, but it's probably a summer day out. She wants to get a little sun on her skin. It might be hot. I don't see a problem with that dress. I think it's appropriate. And look what is the most proud thing in her arms, her baby, not a gun. And she's standing in front of the American flag, which is probably her sign to say, hey, I respect this country and I respect the flag, not as a bikini. This is more in line what a nationalist is, not like the MAGA people is. I just want to make this point. This is going to be the last videos we're going to be talking about feminism, meaning in this broadcast. I'll do probably more videos later. But I thought Joe Rogan's point, we should talk about it because it's very important. Because let me close this down. So hopefully that, because when you start looking at the feminism of what's happening to men and women, it's the same thing. I say again, when men do not want to become soldiers, and I get you. I wouldn't want to die for America anymore. I think most people join the military now just for the money. They just need a paycheck. Most other people are like, no thanks. And what are women? They don't want to have kids. So guess what? This society is not going to work. And so we have to ask ourselves, what's going on? And for the same reason that Donald Trump came in, and he was right, he said, these rhinos are exactly that. They're rhinos. They're not helping us out, and we're going to create MAGA. Phenomenal. But guess what? The same thing. Meaning he took a step in the right direction. It's not there. And I say again, first, number one, we have to start calling women out for who they are. If you're a woman and you believe men or you believe women deserve the right to vote, then you're a feminist. And if you're willing to take equal responsibility, then so be it. 99% of women won't. They don't want. You really think if there was a war and women, in fact, in America, men are still required to register I didn't have to do it because I joined the military, but what the hell is selective service? So if you're a man still in America today, when you hit 18 years old, you are required to register for selective service. And if you don't, there could be punishments, no college tuition, can't get work, can't work for the federal government. Women are not. They don't have that at all. So I say again, if we're going to go in a traditional society, I don't mind allowing women to have privileges, to be protected, to have a special class, because that's traditional society. But if we're going to have a society where women are allowed to vote and have equal power, no way, no way. And any man that would allow that is a cock. For the same reason, as a man looks at how to run society, the country, is similar how he looks at running his home. And if you're a man who's like, well, in my home, it's 50-50. We share equal responsibilities, equal power. It's going to probably end up in a divorce. Probably going to end up in a divorce. She's going to leave you. She's going to probably leave you for an alpha male. It just doesn't work. So I wanted to put that down. I'll look at one comment. The first guy, David, women of the frontier defended their families, helped out the men. That's why I became most powerful in the patriarchy. That's fine. You know what I would say to the Mohegan lass? Then it's time, and there's a war to draft these women into the front lines. But I can tell you, after serving in the military, I did a total of 11 years in the military, 3 years in the FBI. Did women pull the same amount of leadership and stress and might and rank? No way. It wasn't even close. So you get all these women who watch these movies said, women can do it, women can do it. Then I would say, Mohican last, then why do women continue to complain about the patriarchy? Because at the end of the day, once you leave the West, like I did, what you'll realize is it's not a patriarchy in America. It's a matriarchy. So 9 times out of 10, who's complaining of the power structure? Think about it. I'm a white man. What did I do? I just left. I left. Women don't. Very rarely do white women leave America. And if they do, they're probably going to Western countries. So if women are so powerful as men, then why are you complaining, right? That's like in the military, the officer complains and to the enlisted people, that would be the enlisted people say, you're the officer, you're the one with the power. Why are you complaining to me? It's like Donald Trump being the president. I mean, when you have power, then take charge and stop complaining. So now she's saying women do have the power. Well, then if women have the power, then probably take charge and do it and stop complaining. That's what I would say. But I would just say, no way. I see, we're going to go next video. My wife was a medic and women hate women in the military. I could tell you, I could do stories. There's a story that I want to do when I was in the military. When I deployed to Kosovo, I'll tell you the story. There was a prostitution ring. The military police were investigating. It happened right next to me. It was about 5 enlisted women that were on deployment. Your tax money was paying their salaries. And you know what they were doing on deployment? Running a prostitution ring. These women, there is no place for women in the military. Maybe 1%. There's always women like a butch lesbian. I get it. Same thing in the boxing room. There could be that always 1% anomaly of a butch lesbian woman. I mean, you don't even want to have sex with this woman. She's so much of a butch. There's always going to be anomalies. But I'm talking 90 to 99% of what you consider normal women. If you look at a woman and she's like, what do you like to do? Like if I met a woman and she's like, man, I love boxing. I like, you really? Why do you like boxing? Man, I love taking my fist and I just like breaking a guy's nose or a woman's nose. It turns me on. It just doesn't sound right. Men, the gift that God gave men and the gift that God gave women is men. Our gift is the power to kill. That's why we do the brutal stuff. Women's gift is the gift of life. They create life. Men are the takers of life. You show me any time in history where the women were in a female military, where it's all women running the military. I'll put my, I don't want to talk about, because we'll go to another subject, but I hear this all the time from women like, yeah. It's a lot of it's just garbage. So let me go. So what I want to do for this one is this. I want to get to this part. We are seeing the world changing now before our eyes. And what's interesting is I have a little intimate relationship with Germany. I was stationed with the U.S. Army in Germany. I was in a place called Heidelberg, and I was in a place similar to my last name. My last name is Baumblatt. It was a post called Baumholder. Heidelberg is closed now. I think they closed it in 2012. That was the U.S. Army European headquarters. Think of it like the Pentagon of Europe. Baumholder, though, man, they call it the Rock, like the movie. What was that? What was that FBI Alcatraz SEAL movie? Remember the Rock and Alcatraz? They use the same word because Baumholder, Germany, it is the Rock. It's where infantry units, First Armored Division. I was there in the divisional units. Baumholder is still there. So I have an intimate relationship with Germany and NATO. You are seeing the world changing. Now, we're going to go to this video by the Prime Minister, or you call him the Chancellor of Germany, Merz. But I do want to double down on what Donald Trump is doing, because it's getting very dangerous. In terms of NATO, I'm going to repeat, we as Americans have a raw deal. We should not pay for the security of Europe. And I predicted this. Remember, I talked about China is going to rise to be a regional power. Russia was already there. It went from a superpower to a regional power, and it's still there. You are going to see the rise of Germany again. And I'm for it, because a stronger Germany, a stronger France, a stronger UK adds to the stability of the world. It is time for the Europeans to pay for it and stand up. That, I'm in total agreement with Donald Trump. His Greenland thing, wrong, and we're going to go down. And just like I talked about the shooting, there's another shooting with the ice. I don't want to do a tangent. I stand by. I've got very good judgment my whole life. If ICE stays with the mission of foreign nationals, I think what they're doing is a service to America. And I could shake their hand and say, thank you for your service. They need to watch themselves what they're doing, American citizen. I serve the news. We're not going to do it on this video, but we heard there's another shooting. I'm telling you, it's going to go down. It was a bad shoot. It was a bad shoot. And I'm telling you, to the Americans, be careful. It could happen to you. So going back to NATO, what Trump is looking about getting out of NATO and paying for the Europeans, he's right. But this sort of empire that we're getting onto, before we go to the video, I just want you to show you when I keep talking about leadership, guns and ammo, and the guns and the gold. How is Trump negotiating with Greenland? One, he wants to buy it, the gold. If that doesn't work, there have been threats. I mean, again, these are our allies. We shouldn't be threatening our allies. He's threatening with guns. That's our policy, guns and gold. What is it going to happen in America? It's going to be guns and gold too again. I mean, this empire is going to come for you. Let me show you this video of Merz, and I think it's pretty good. It's a pretty inspiring, and we're going to talk about it. Let me bring this up real quick, and then I'll look at your comments. I mean, we could talk so much about feminism. It's like racism. This topic, once you live in these foreign countries, it just changes though. You just realize that. Let me go here. Now, what I'm going to do, I want to speak about leadership, and this is very important. This is where Donald Trump is going in a dangerous direction. It's going to fail. Remember, I said Donald Trump is the best president in my entire life. The best is yet to come. I want you to remember, when it comes to leadership, if our sole principle generally is might makes right, it's dangerous. There's a phrase that Merz is saying here. I did my MBA in Switzerland, so I'm a little familiar. We're going to show it. But Merz's speech, it shows that there's something hard. We have to have principles too. Even as West Point, duty, honor, country. What happened to honor? This speech is good. We're not going to go through the whole thing, but there are a couple things in it that's pretty interesting, and then we're going to talk about it. I'll stop where he talks about this.
Now, President Borge-Brende, ladies and gentlemen, the calm and peace up here on the magic mountain.
Okay, he just said the magic mountain. We're going to come back to that. I think as an American, you may not understand what he meant. It's based upon a book and a script, The Magic Mountain in Davos, Switzerland, and it focuses a lot on leadership. This speech is, I don't know much about Merz, so I'm not saying I like this guy or not, but his speech is in line, and it is part of my prediction. You are going to see the rise of Germany's military, and I'm for it. I have no problems with it.
In Davos is at stark contrast to a world whose old order is unraveling at breathtaking pace. Let me share with you how the new German government is looking at these tectonic shifts and how we are addressing them. These shifts have the most profound ramifications for our freedom, for our security, and for our prosperity. In these weeks and months, we are witnessing a new era has already begun. Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine has been the most drastic expression so far. But change runs much deeper.
So I think what you're doing, and I need to do videos on Germany. There's a lot of, part of the reason I picked Germany, and I also have a family back in Germany in terms of my legacy, but there's a lot of history and knowledge. If you study the history of Germany, again, we're going to go to the next video, but there is a lot of leadership to be gained in what he's talking about. And basically, the world is about to change.
China, with strategic foresight, has worked its way into the ranks of the great powers. The United States' global pole position is being challenged. And Washington reacts by radically reshaping its foreign and security policy. We have entered a time of great power politics. The international order of the past 3 decades, anchored in international law, has always been imperfect. Today, its very foundations have been shaken. This new world of great powers is being built on power, on strength, and when it comes to it, on force. It's not a cozy place.
Yeah, I saw Shane's comment. Guess what I've said about gold and silver? This fiat currency is going down. Again, I still support crypto, but you're crazy if you're not thinking gold. But this world order is going to change. And I remember when I left America in 2010, people said, no way. They couldn't. Let me stop here really quick and just explain that. And this is the danger. It's the fall of Rome. It's similar to America. One of the reasons you've probably heard the pride before the fall. Maybe you've heard that. These are great leadership phrases. And one of the issues is in Rome, because again, you have to try to imagine, most of us don't study history in America. Most people don't know what happened yesterday. But back in Rome, they could not imagine a world where Rome wasn't the power. They just couldn't imagine that. Does that not sound similar? Because I remember having these conversations in 2010 to people where they were thinking I was crazy. They couldn't imagine a world where America is not the superpower. And again, I've never said China will not become the superpower, but the world is going to go into a multi-power. So America is going to get demoted from their global superpower position, and it's going to be a regional power, which is going to change so many things. But that's that even notion back then of America not being the preeminent world power. People just couldn't imagine that. Guess what's happening now? And Chancellor Merz is saying, I think it's starting to become mainstream for the same reason that I predicted Civil War. Oh, you keep it on. You keep it another year or two. Civil War, it's going to be mainstream. People are going to speak. You want to know when Civil War starts getting mainstream? when tactical civil war starts getting mainstream, where they're going to start discussing of the tactics. It's going to happen. But I think now, if you are a common sense person, because you don't have to listen to me, now you could listen to the figureheads in the economic world, the military world, the political world, where they're admitting it, that we are now going into a multipolar world. So I think most Americans now are realizing, oh, fuck, and they're nervous. Why? Well, because America's going to get a demotion. Other powers are going to rise, so they're going to be more excited, particularly China is one example. Germany's also going to rise. There's an interesting thing, it's called Freudenschatz, where Germany, they almost don't want to do it. They're being forced. I mean, I could do videos of, they still live under post-World War II tragedy. I'm gonna make this story real quick. We're going to go into it. I used to live in Dresden, Germany. I don't know if you remember Dresden. Dresden was the city that just got bombed to hell during World War II. Dresden is a very cool city. I lived there for about 8 months. And that's where Putin was stationed as a KGB agent. Pretty interesting. If you're in Dresden, you still go to, they call them the Kneipas. These would be the bars, the restaurants, Essen, Gute Bier, and was du willst. And so they will have Putin still there, memorabilia, decorations. We are about, and I need to do a video, we are about to very soon close World War II. What does that mean? What do I mean by that? We are about very close to close out World War II. Most people would say, dude, World War II ended in 1945. It's done. No, it's not. I'm going to give you an example, and this was my experience in Dresden. So as you know, Dresden was part of East Germany. Once the Soviet Union fell, Germany became united, and so now East Germany and West Germany is united. So what's my point? When the Soviet Union fell and the wall fell in Berlin and also in East Germany, and guess what also happened? The Soviet Union troops left Germany. This is how much America and brainwashed Americans are. If you're in Berlin, there are still statues in Berlin that honor the communist Soviet soldiers for liberating the Germans in Berlin. Whereas most Americans would be like, that's probably not liberation. If you get taken over by the communists, your nation is fucked. But in Germany, because they're so brainwashed, they were liberated by the communists. But when the Soviet Union fell and those Germans saw the Soviet Union, the military pack up, and sort of like Afghanistan, remember how we packed up and leave? Horrible defeat. Good for the Taliban. I've spoke about this. Horrible war we lost. But remember when we pulled out, because many people may not understand what I'm talking about, East Germany, but you probably know about Afghanistan. When we pulled out, quit, deserted, what did that feel like for us? It was horrible for American soldiers, for this. What did it feel like for the Taliban? That's not a great one-to-one example, but when the Soviet Union collapsed and the Soviet soldiers left Germany, it was a part of World War II coming to a closure. There's another part. It's the American forces. Germany's still an occupied nation. There will be a time soon where the American forces will leave Germany. I'm for it. I think it's time to go. And when finally the Americans leave Germany and NATO gets dissolved, which I'm for it, and I'm also for it for the American citizens. It's time for the American citizens to stop paying tax money for the security of Europeans. But when that happens, now I was stationed in Baumblatt, which is also very significant. Baumblatt, Germany is the largest concentration of U.S. forces outside of America. It is Joe City. I mean, if you go there, you think you're an American city. I mean, it is just American forces. So it really is a presence of we Americans still own Germany. We occupy you. This is our country. We defeated you in World War II. And every time, I had times where I would take our tanks to go from Baumblatt, and we would do training in a place called Grafenwehr and Hohensfeld, which is more toward Eastern Germany. So we would have to traverse, of course, during the Autobahns, we would go in the midnight, so there weren't traffic jams. So we would literally leave 9 p.m. at night from Baumblatt, and we would make the trek, which would go all the way to the morning to get to our training center. So what would the Germans see? they would see American flag, Abrams tanks, armored personnel carriers, Humvees, you name it, of the Americans rolling through Germany to get to our training ground in Grafenwehr and Hohensfeld to do training. And what was that assigned to the Germans? We fucking own you. You lost in World War II, we conquered you, and we are still here. And it's in there. I don't think Americans understand. When I call the Germans the super cucks of the world, part of it's truth, but part of it's a little sad. It's time for the Germans to get over World War II. And when the Americans finally leave, if you understand this or not, World War II is finally over for the Germans. And they could begin to say, I'm gonna go back to Merce, but I'm gonna do one thing on this. And just to show you, the word for leadership in German is Führerschaft. That's the word for leadership, Führerschaft. You probably are not familiar with German, but you probably heard of this word called der Führer. That was a word where they would address Adolf Hitler, der Führer. They are still so sensitive with this word that the Germans prefer to use the English word for leadership and not say the German word Führerschaft. I didn't understand it because I'd be speaking German with them and I'd be like, haben Sie, ich hab viele mit Führerschaft gelernt. Oh ja, ich habe viele auch mit Leadership gelernt. Well, why are you using the word leadership? It's English. Well, why don't you say Führerschaft? Because it reminds them of the word for Hitler. That's how sensitive they are. So I don't think Americans understand what a shift that's going to happen, because sooner or later, Germany is going to rise. A lot of people are worried about it. Personally, it's time. World War II is over. It is time. A stronger Germany is a stronger world. We're going to keep going on this really quick. There's more parts to it.
We do not have to accept this new reality as fate. We are not at the mercy of this new world order. We do have a choice. We can shape the future. To succeed, we must face harsh realities and chart our course with clear-eyed realism. 2 days ago, Mark Carney said in this hall from this place, we must no longer rely only on the power of our values. We must also recognize the value of our power. I share that view. And when I look into this room, into this hall, I want to say most of us share it. And that is a good starting point. European friends, if I may say so, our power today rests on 3 pillars: our security, our competitiveness, and our unity. First, we must invest massively in our ability to defend ourselves, and we are doing this. Second, we must rapidly make our economies competitive, and we are doing this. Third, we must stand closer together among Europeans and among like-minded partners. We are doing this. As we forge ahead, we must never forget one thing: a world where only power counts is a dangerous.
I want you to listen to this part. We're going to do a clip of the Magic Mountain. I know it sounds strange. It's very in-depth. And then we're going to talk about America quick, but it connects. Follow this point.
Place. First for small states, then for the middle powers, and ultimately for the great ones. I do not say this lightly. In the 20th century, my country, Germany, went down this road to its bitter end. It pulled the world into a black abyss. So let us bear in mind, our greatest strength remains the ability to build partnerships and alliances among equals, based on mutual trust and respect. I remind you, after 1945, the United States of America inspired us Germans to embrace this logic. On this foundation, NATO became the strongest alliance in history. This is why we hold true this idea. Now, in recent days, the United States administration has vehemently demanded greater influence in Greenland. Washington has argued that this is an imperative to counter security threats in the High North. We welcome that the United States is taking the threat posed by Russia in the Arctic seriously. This threat is itself an expression of great power rivalry. It is aimed both at Europe and the United States. We experience it daily in hybrid attacks in the Baltic Sea and in Russia's winter war against the people of Ukraine. We share the conviction that as European NATO allies, we must do more to secure the High North as NATO.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do two things. We're going to do two clips on this thing called the Magic Mountain in Davos, Switzerland. We're going to look at that and we're going to immediately switch to America's policy. And what is America's policy? It's very dangerous, people. I don't agree with it, and that is this policy of might makes right. I get it. It's part of nature. I guess this would go to to the Mohegan girl. No, or what the hell's her name? The girl. I get it. No woman wants a man that's a bully. Even in sports, if you saw a boxing match or an MMA match and you saw one of the men cheating, even men would say that's not fair. As long as you win fair and square, because we still realize that there's rules. I should do a story about fighting another time. But the point is as long as we could do it, some type of rules-based fighting, it is what it is. But we don't want to see a sense of a bully. And I'm telling you, the American empire, it's going down this road, and you'll see. But I want you, and then we're going to finally end with an American general who I would say is probably the last American general that I have respect for that I would fall into battle. What I'm trying to say is be very careful if you go down this path of might makes right. That's basically like, well, fuck it, let's rape women. It's like, hey, buddy, why'd you steal the money from me? Because I can. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. Is that the world we want to live? Be very careful, because the same government that does that philosophy, that principles overseas, they're going to do that here. Same thing with me, the investigation. Why do you think the FBI is hiding on me? What they did was illegal. They're hiding like little boys. And that's something you'll find too, and it goes back to the FBI. You'll find a lot of people that go on this power trip really inside they're cowards. It's like a bully. I'm telling you, I've seen that. I'll do stories in the FBI. Many of these were very weak people, weak boys who really never had anything going for their life, or they were the bully. And they get that badge and they get that gun and it goes to their heads. But we all know what happens to a bully. If you punch them really hard in the face, they go away. So I don't want to do a tangent. We're going to go to the Magic Mountain. And I like Donald Trump. But remember, Donald Trump, for lack of a better word, he dodged the draft in Vietnam. None of his kids serve in the military. So you do, from a common sense, have to ask yourself, a man who's never served in the military and his kids aren't going to serve in the military, he's really into sending other people to fight and die. I just want you to remember that. And again, I've never said other politicians are better. I'm not in the bandwagon for Gavin Newsom. I think the Democrats suck. But I'm still trying to tell you, my gut instinct says Trump is the best, but the best is yet to come. There's still things he's running this like a corporation. Let's go to the Magic Mountain. And what I want to emphasize this, if you're a man and all you're doing in life is looking for the human pleasures, money, sex, power, sooner or later, you're going to end up empty-handed. And if you want to inspire men in combat to fight and die, there has to be something more. And I said this, Part of the reason where the Taliban won, because we're just basically a government mercenaries now in the military. What are we fighting for? At least the Taliban would say, well, we're fighting for our culture, our nation. Whatever you think about Sharia law, they're fighting for their people. There has to be something. I don't know what we're fighting for. I don't even know who our people is, who is an American. So I just want to say this, never overestimate, or I guess I should say underestimate, the importance of having some type of principles. What would we be in the West without Christianity or some other form of higher morals? Not very good. So I'm telling you, it's a dangerous road. We're going to watch these two clips, and then we're going to immediately go into the American ideology, which, like I'm saying, I think it's very dangerous. You go right here. So for this, I think, one second, let me go here. I think we're at the clip here.
What is Thomas Mann's The Magic Mountain about? Have you ever wondered how literature can reflect the complexities of society? Thomas Mann's novel, The Magic Mountain, does just that. This book is a fascinating exploration of identity, morality, and the societal shifts in Europe before World War I. The story centers.
Again, there's a reason why Chancellor Merz mentioned this. This wasn't just a fluke. His scriptwriter himself specifically said, we are in one, Davos, Switzerland. That's where the book was portrayed. We are two at a cusp of the world changing. Back then it was World War I. Also, what it gets into is the difference between morality, the rich and the poor. It shows a bit of evil in humanity. And without principles, we are going to go down a dark road.
On Hans Castorp, a young German engineer who travels to a tuberculosis sanatorium in the mountains of Davos, Switzerland, to visit his cousin. This sanatorium is not just a place for healing. It serves as a microcosm of European society. Patients from diverse backgrounds gather there, each bringing their own perspectives and ideologies. As Hans spends more time at the sanatorium, he becomes involved in the rich intellectual and philosophical discussions of the time. Two key characters, Suddenbrenny and Nufta, representing opposing viewpoints. Suddenbrenny is a humanist who advocates for reason and progress, while Nufta, a Jesuit, embodies a more mystical and traditional approach. Their debates reflected the broader societal tensions that were present in Europe leading up to the war. One of the most striking moments in the novel occurs during a snowstorm when Hans experiences a vision of a utopian society that quickly turns dark. This vision symbolizes the dual nature of civilization, capturing Mann's critique of modern society's potential for both beauty and evil. The novel does not shy away from exploring themes of love and death, which are central to the human experience. For those traveling in Germany and in...
So let me go to this one. We're going to do one last one here.
When a certain crisis shattered its way through life and consciousness, it left a deep chasm behind. What Hans Castorp comes to understand is that one must go through the deep experience of sickness and
Similar in some ways to my situation. Until you experience injustice, you don't appreciate justice. And this goes through all walks of life. Guys in the military know, or whatever, you know, when you're starving, what you don't have, you appreciate when you have. What you've got against, you appreciate what you should be for. That duality of man, and it's coming. It's not just coming for the world, but it's coming specifically in a much harder sense for America. You'll see in the next video.
death in order to arrive at a higher sanity and health. In just the same way that one must have a knowledge of sin in order to find redemption. There are, Hans Castorp says, two ways to life. One is the regular, direct, and good way, and the other is bad. It leads through death, and that is the way of genius.
Okay, so now we're going to get into the American stuff. Now, what I want to do now is, now we're going to start looking at how America has changed before your eyes. This change has been going on. I've been seeing this in China, but now it's to the layman. Like I keep saying, the world is changing. I think if you're a common American, you should see this. Now you're also seeing something different. I don't know who this guy's, this next clip is. He's a bit of a guy on YouTube and TikTok, but what he says is very interesting. And we're going to go down this path. And I'm telling you, it's going to end badly for America. Because if you have leadership without principles and morality, and it is truly might makes right, be very careful. Let's start walking down in terms of what is going to happen here.
Ours. Greenland is ours. Canada is ours. It's that simple. Bravo to my president. I don't give a damn what you mentally deranged liberals think, man. Donald Trump is doing exactly what he should do. Yes, Venezuela's an oil grab. If we don't take it, the Chinese, the Russians, the Cubans will. And if they do it, that weakens our position in the world. So let me make this clear. America is empire. That's what Donald Trump is building right now. Absolute empire. And I applaud him.
Hell yeah. He applauds them. He applauds the empire. You take it, you want it, we do it. What else are we doing here? Let's take a look. Again, same sort of logic. Let's go on to this. Where are we going in America here? It could be a very dangerous road.
You are stealing my house.
And if I don't steal it, someone else is going to steal it.
No one is allowed to steal it, يا عمي. Jacob, you know this is not your house.
Yes, but if I go, you don't go back. So what's the problem? Why are you yelling at me? I didn't do this. I didn't do this.
But you...
We're going to do a couple of videos. In case you know, this guy's an American Israeli. This is in Palestine. He's taken away their house. Many people like, screw it, do it. Let's keep going.
It's easy to yell at me, but I didn't do this.
You are stealing my house. This is not your house.
Yes, but if I go, you don't go back. So what's the problem? Why are you yelling at me? I didn't do this.
You are stealing my house.
And if I don't steal it, someone else is going to steal it.
Right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor.
To make sure that this neighborhood is not lost in any future peace deal.
Because when we own it, we defend it. You don't defend leases the same way. You have to own it. You have to own it. One thing I think everyone has to know is that if we didn't do this, China or Russia would have done it.
You are stealing my house.
And if I don't steal it, someone else is going to steal it.
No.
And its chief proxy, the PLO, international terrorism would collapse.
If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region. Third nation, by the way, is Libya. Obviously, we like to see a regime change, at least I would, in Iran.
Supporting terrorism, not only to every part of the Middle East, but to Venezuela.
By the way, what are we doing with Greenland? We got to do something with Greenland.
Okay, so what we're going to do is now we're going to go to part 2, and that's Fox News. I'm not a fan of Fox News. This is, again, when people like, why haven't my story been brought out? Anyone who realizes to me, I'm not generally Republicans, Democrat, this and that. I'm a nationalist. So anyway, now we're going to look at Fox News. Remember, most of these Fox News people never served in the military. Most of these Fox News people, the amount of money they make, they're in the top 1%. Top 1% of America. Look what they're talking about. When did this happen in American policy? And I'm telling you, what happens is when the empire starts falling, the survival of the regime is number one. And we're going to start doing whatever we got to do. But look how these Fox, and remember, this is Greenland. These are our allies. So the typical excuse of, well, communism, dictatorship, can't use it. Where are we going, people? And to those Americans, like that first TikTok guy was like, screw it. We're an empire and we're going to do what we got to do. I hope you know what's going to come to America. Like, if you think this thing called the Constitution is going to save you, it's not going to happen, people. So this roller coaster is going to start going faster. It's going to start getting dangerous. This is the main reason I left, but me being here already shows you that I couldn't leave the entire vector of America. It's going to start getting dangerous. Listen to the Fox News. These are our right people. These are MAGA. This is what they're saying. You tell me if this is going off board here.
$1 billion.
Yes. $1 billion per person.
$1 billion per person. The royal family in Denmark is dying to sell Denmark. Every European that we're going to grease with the 700 billion is dying to do this deal. It's like when you find out your great grandmother has this amazing piece of real estate right on the coast, and some big fat developer comes over and makes an amazing offer, and you don't even go to the property. You've never even seen the estate, and you don't have enough money to even build on it. So someone comes here, slaps a check down, and you're going to say no. Once Besant and Lutnick and Rubio get into a room with all these guys and knock their heads together, we're getting Greenland. Change the rules after they lost their power and empire. What Europe doesn't understand is that Greenland is an island in North America. You hear that? North America. Why is Denmark being so selfish? We bought the Virgin Islands from Denmark 100 years ago. We didn't want Germany to get a foothold in our hemisphere. At first, Denmark said no. And then we said, all right, well, we're going to just take it anyway, so you might as well just sell it. And they did. Why are the Europeans siding with Denmark over the United States? They made a very big mistake when they sent 34 soldiers to defend Greenland from us. 34. Trump was not happy.
Interesting. This is a guy who's never served in the military, Jesse Waters. Never served in the military. He's 1%. Why are the Europeans siding with Greenland? I don't know, because it's Europeans. It's the same ideology, America first. Maybe they're putting European first. This is how we talk. Do you see where we're getting our rhetoric? And I'm going to be a soldier that's going to die for these people? You think if Jesse Waters is going to join the military? Again, we're going into a place we're not quite sure. It's the same thing. MAGA people are like, man, I have to back the blue. Remember, the MAGA people were like me too, that I was for the January 6th. I said it was not a national security event. I said it was a protest that got out of hand. But you know, people made the law enforcement evil. Now law enforcement's good, right? With ICE. Be very careful, because what's going to happen in leadership, and this is where military commanders need to be very good. If you're a military leader, you have to be able to operate in chaos. It's war. So you have to be able to process not legality, but morality. That's where you've got to be able to process it fast. And I'm telling you, a lot of Americans, when danger and stress comes in, your morals are going to be out. You're not going to know it. You're just going to say, well, whatever the boss wants to do. And before you know it, we're down a track. And I think it's going down that way anyway. That's why I left. But look at the arrogance from Jesse Waters. This is a guy who's never served in the military. Now, what I want to do is this is about Europe. This is the good thing what Donald Trump is doing to the Europeans. He's woken them up. He's like, you're weak. And what do I keep saying? The evil of feminism. The feminism isn't just evil in America. It's even more evil in Western Europe. And I'm telling you, feminism creates weak men. And we're going to do this little snippet in Europe. And this is the good part about Trump. He's waking the Europeans up that says, listen, you're cucks and I'm your boss, or I'm your daddy. That's the way it is. And a lot of Europeans are like, oh my God, that's how it is. Watch this clip and about just how feminism has destroyed Europe, it's going to come for America if we're not here.
Europe is frankly its weakness. I'll give you a couple of examples. A few years ago, the EU proudly announced its AI Act to the world, the first major regulation of artificial intelligence. But the problem is we hardly have any AI companies, to speak of. So we've become really good at regulating industries we don't have. Look at the top 10 most valuable companies in Europe. You'll see some, important companies like ASML in the Netherlands, some Novo Nordisk, some pharma companies, but it's mostly big fashion. It's Louis Vuitton, it's Dior. I like to say that we've become the continent of handbags instead of hardware. So if you really believe that this liberal social democratic model is, the way we should rule the world, then it would be quite nice if you also have the power to back it up. And the reality right now is that indeed, thousands of young men are dying in the trenches in Ukraine, and we're quite dependent on Daddy Trump as my.
This is like I'm saying, this is the great part about Donald Trump. And I like him. Part of what he says, unlike politicians, much more like it should be. He has woken up the weak cucks in Europe by showing them the truth. And the truth is they're an American colony. And they're finally realizing, I cannot tell you how many stupid, ignorant Europeans there were that I talked with them. And I said, you're an American colony. No, we're not. You're exaggerating. No, you are. This man realizes it. And in some ways, he could thank Donald Trump for showing that truth.
Fellow Dutchman, Mark Rutte, the current head of NATO, would say it. And that's an embarrassing and painful position to be in. But it is the reality.
But
okay, so here we go. What did I say about feminism? If you think feminism is bad in America, you have no clue in Western Europe. Feminism has destroyed the white European man. Listen to what this woman says. Again, there is no doubt in my mind, women should have never been given the privilege or the right to vote. They destroy countries.
I imagine that someone from your background also has qualms about the pivot in European budgets towards more military funding.
Mm-hmm. So she doesn't want big military. She doesn't want that funding to go to military. And I get it. Even in America, we're spending way too much for military. It's time to spend more for roads. But Europe is no way. I mean, Europe, it's like two different spectrums. America spends too much for military. Europe spends too little. Too little.
Which is because of Ukraine and in the face of what's happening with Russia. So how do you square that?
I don't have those qualms. The only thing I worried about is that we're mainly spending that money to buy more American weapons while we should have those industries ourselves.
So you think if Europe...
So watch what she says.
Manufactures weapons rather than handbags, that's a better place for Europe to
Absolutely,
be in.
yeah.
Yep, I agree. It's time. It is, at the end of the day, let me put this down. At the end of the day, you don't need to have this super big military. You need to have a military. It's like a woman. A woman has a man. The man doesn't need to be a Superman, but he should have the strength of the capabilities to at least defend his wife and his children. So the point being is the militaries in Europe, they are not even strong enough to defend themselves. But look at this woman. She's like, I don't want a big military. Well, I never really asked you, and women don't deserve the right to vote anyway. Just get in the kitchen and make children. That would probably be the best accomplishment and service you could do for Europe or for America, is to make a healthy white baby. Other than that, your job is overrated and you're an overrated woman. And for me to even have this conversation with you is retarded. So what we're going to do is we're going to end in a couple things. I'm actually going to do a clip from a former CIA guy. There's a lot of CIA or FBI, these people on here. I'll make comments. I think a lot of them are yo-yos. It's very weird, especially if you're former intelligence. What are you doing? It's like me. Everyone knows me. I feel sometimes like an ass clown by being on these talk shows. Never wanted to do it. I spent 2 years with the government working this out to leave me alone and unflag my passport. Even if I never go back to America, it's fine. 2 years. Then I went on here, just asked for help. So I think people know me in terms of why I'm on here. And it's kind of a double-edged sword. But there are other people on here that it's very weird. This guy, CIA, I never met him. Maybe we were different times and we had different targets. He's more of a Middle East expert, but he goes into this and it's exactly what I predicted. But I do recommend, if you want to watch these ex-intelligence guys, this guy's pretty good. And I've always said, I believe that people in the government are overrated. The best and the brightest are not working in our government. But if you took, say, the top 1%, I probably would put my resume and credentials probably top 10% in the Bureau. But if you took the top 1% in the FBI, the top 1% in the CIA, they're different. I mean, those guys are hot and they could easily go to the private sector, but they did it. But remember, it's 1%. The majority of them, not very impressive. So I don't know much about him, but I do find him to be very intelligent, articulate, and what he says, I'm telling you, it's going to happen. So let's just watch this quick clip here, and then we're gonna end it soon.
Everything that's going on at the moment with Trump in Venezuela and Greenland, this is going to create cover for.
Oh, I was hoping you would ask me a question like that. I think that's a very important issue that the media really aren't.
So remember I said about if you find an intelligence guy, what the hell is he doing on here? This former CIA, he was a whistleblower too, sent to prison, meaning he's also on here, probably not because he wanted to be. So again, he's got an interesting background where he's on here, but what he says, he's spot on.
Talking about. So let's put it in the context of what happened last week in Venezuela, because they're all moving parts of the same policy. So we sent a Delta Force squad into Venezuela a week ago, and we snatched President Maduro, and he faces international narcotics trafficking charges in New York. Okay, some people are for that, some people are against it. Whether you're for it or against it, it's happened. There's nothing we can do about it now. But that operation may have inadvertently given the green light to something that both the Russians and the Chinese have long sought. The United States really is the only true superpower in the world. You know, the Chinese have a lot more people. They have lots of nuclear missiles, but they have one aircraft carrier. We have 12, soon to be 14. We have way more long-distance bombers. We have way more fighters. The Russians are bogged down in a war in Ukraine. They're winning the war, but they're bogged down nonetheless. So did this reinstitution of the Monroe Doctrine, saying that, you know, from 1814, that the Western Hemisphere is the territory of the United States, it's up to us to protect it from foreign powers. Well, in 1814, that meant the British Navy. We don't really need a Monroe Doctrine, and it's not up to us whether the Argentines want to have good relations with China, for example. We invoked the Monroe Doctrine in this operation to snatch Maduro. So does that mean then that if we have a sphere of influence that is the Western Hemisphere, that the Chinese have a sphere of influence that includes Taiwan, that the Russians have a sphere of influence that includes Ukraine? Because that's kind of what it seems. It looks like we've given the green light to both of those countries, and that we're conceding the fact that it's a unipolar world right now in favor of a multipolar world. Now, personally, I think a multipolar world is safer.
What's a multipolar world?
Multipolar world is where there's not just one superpower. There are three or more.
Okay, so you could watch the clip and he goes on to it. Absolutely. We're going toward that. So what I want to do is we're going to end with a couple clips on China, very fast, TikTok clips, and then we're going to end with what I said about what I consider to be the last military general who I thought was competent. And like I said, he's going to show that clip about his view of leadership, and I'll do a video on what my view of leadership is, what my definition. His definition of leadership, and you'll know this general, he's a famous general. His view of leadership is competence and character. What is character? It has to have some type of morals. Again, what would we be without Christianity? Something. I mean, if it's not, then what is it? But if you're just going by competence, it sounds like a corporation, right? Just make money. Whatever we got to do, make money. But we know these corporations are destroying America. Where is the character? What are our morals? We're going to show you clips about Chinese. Now, The Chinese military would get demolished by the American military. Now, it's growing, but we're going to do clips, and I want you to show these clips. I'm not showing these clips say, wow, the Chinese military is so strong. But what I do want to know is my time in China, I've met a lot of Chinese military officers, and we've spoken. Their sense of unity is higher than America. Why? What did I say? I believe most people are serving in Americans' military for a paycheck and a pension. You think the CIA and the FBI is different? Paycheck and a pension. Believe it or not, China has a sense, because it's an ethno state, they have more of a sense, not more, a much higher sense that China, one, belongs to the Chinese man. It belongs to thousands upon thousands of years of history. They are a people. I don't know what America is. We are not a people. I mean, we have diversity as our strength. Good luck with that. So because they're a very homogenous society, ethno-homogenous, Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism, but Confucianism very strong to the thousands of years, all the way down to the emperors, what you'll find is China has a strong culture because they have a unified people. Unity is their strength, not diversity. And so these military clips that I'm just showing you, I just want you to see, as someone in the military, you're seeing it. We're getting more and more shitbags join the military, or even if they're high speed, it's how much money can I make? And I'm telling you, when push comes to shove, this military is going to fall, because stop looking at that elite, and it is very elite, that Delta Force operation, because I said many times with Osama bin Laden, we also have to give credit to the Navy SEALs. That was a very special operation. I would put Maduro as a higher level. So we are definitely capable of doing these. Why? Well, when you get to special operations people, they are made of a different caliber of men. There's different fundings, and it focuses on that specific military objective. When you're looking at a war, it's different. Now you're bringing in conventional forces, and are you bringing in people that are willing to fight and die for America? I think our soldiers would say, hey, dude, I didn't sign up for this, man. I wanted money for college. I want my benefits. I'm out of here. I'm telling you. What about China? Now, again, I don't believe China's at the level that we are, just because we're just so much more bigger and powerful. But they are growing. But it goes back to that thing about where are we in terms of character? Where are we in terms of principles? And if you're an American that says, I will die for America, why? Who's America? I'm just curious, why? So if you're a military veteran or join the military and says, I signed up for the military and I'm willing to die for America, I'm just curious, why? And you'll many times, it's a great question, ask them why. And a lot of times be like, oh, I hope I don't die. I just signed up for the money. In China, there is a feeling, it goes back all the way to their family and lineage. We don't have that anymore, America. We're going to show these 3 clips. We're going to end it with a quote, what I believe is our last great modern general. And then we're going to close it again where we're going. So again, three quick clips here, back to back, just something with China. So again, interesting question. We're going to do the last general, but interesting question to American military men. Why did you join? I joined for duty on our country. Money wasn't the biggest thing that I joined for. And I quit because I realized this is a joke. I joined the FBI, not for the money. I really thought, whatever, tip of the spear, national security protect, and I left. It was a joke. So why don't other people quit? Money. Because it is true, the American military and our American intelligence, even if you prorate it with other cost of living, we are the highest paid people. There's a lot of money, I'm telling you, to be made in there. So the point is why are we in these? Why are people in these? And that's why I've also said about the FBI grifters, FBI whistleblower, what grifters they are. So the point is this: I truly believe we have a mercenary force. Now, in peacetime, it's fine. They'll do their job, they'll get their pension. But really, once war starts happening and people start dying, especially conventional level, I think it will fall apart immediately. Like when I'm in China, I will ask sometimes these soldiers, 那为什么你当中国的军人吗？因为我有爱国心，我的爸爸是当国人，这是我爱中国。They will answer questions to the point of this is, and it's hard to understand as American because we've been brainwashed with diversity is our strength, the white man is evil. In China, they respect and revere the Chinese man. China belongs to the Chinese man. So if you're a black man in America, if you're a Mexican man in America, you find that offensive that why should America belong to the white man? I'm a Mexican man, I'm an Indian. Well, I'm in China and I'm a white man. I don't argue with it. I don't argue with it at all. You think I've ever said, I think this is wrong. I think China should also belong to the white man. I don't. It's not my country. And so it's such a strong ethos that China belongs to the Chinese people for thousands of years. This is their people, their culture, their land. They don't want diversity. They're not into diversity. And they're also not into feminism at all. So they look at it as an extended, their people's an extended family. So when push comes to shove in the military, you think I'm lying? I don't know. Look what we did in Afghanistan. Picture, and I had some military veterans, they look at me and say, you're a traitor for saying that. Well, it's kind of the truth. I mean, sometimes Donald Trump says stuff that offends people, but if you are a Taliban, there you are. I get it. These guys are Muslims, whatever. They Sharia law. It's their land. There you are as a Taliban father, and you've got your 10-year-old son, and your son says, Dad, who are these people parachuting into our country? Father says, oh, they look like Army Rangers, maybe 82nd Airborne paratroopers coming in. And the son says, Dad, why are they coming to our country? Well, they're going to invade our country. They're going to try to dress you up in a skirt, feminism. They're going to probably kill your father, change our country, take away our culture, this and that, our religion, take our economics. And the son looks at the father, says, Dad, what are you going to do about it? As he grabs his AK-47s, he says, I'm going to kill as many of these American motherfuckers as possible. Would we remember the great movie Red Dawn when the Russians invaded America? What would we do? We'd do the same thing. Russians invading America? We're going to kill all. What would you expect the Taliban to do? Oh, okay, Americans are coming. Put down my weapon. I guess it's time for me to be a homosexual. No, they fight for their land. What are we fighting for? Who is America? Can you define who the Chinese are and who China is, the culture? I guarantee you've never been to China. You probably don't know much about China, but it'd probably be easier for you to define what is China and the Chinese people versus, I don't know who Americans are. I mean, technically, America is everyone. Feminism, Indians, religion. You can't say America is a Christian country anymore. So if you're going to defend something, you have to define it. What are you defending? In China, they can define, I guarantee the Taliban, they can define who they are defending, what they're defending. I can tell you to the American military, they're not defending free speech. We always like to say you're not defending free speech. We're not really defending each other. No one really cares about each other. It's a corporation. So what I want to do is we're going to go to the final clip and then we'll go to comments. But this is, like I said, probably the last great modern general. I think General Patton, has got to go up there as probably one. I've never done the list, but probably General Patton's got to go up there as one of the best ever. So I'm emphasizing this is the last great modern general. And what does he say about leadership? And what do I keep saying about in the beginning? What did we talk about? Well, we first talked about feminism, garbage, just how Joe Rogan was saying, it's one of the factors of the downfall. But then we got into the policy of, remember Merck talked about the magic mountain? He said about, and what is it? It's about an influx, a change of time, to see the worst and the good, and understanding we have to have a value set. And then we go to Americans about, we do whatever we want to do. We want it, we take it, we're strong, who cares? We're an empire, go fuck yourself. Okay. And now we're looking at one of the last generals. What does he have to say? Last clip here, and then we'll end the show. This is a short clip.
You got to be competent. There's no question about the fact you have to have confidence to be a leader. But you also have to have character. Good leaders are men of confidence and character. And many times character is more important than the confidence side of the house.
So there we go. General Schwarzkopf, what does he mention? Character. So we have to be very careful when we start going into, I guess this is the new foreign policy. And I sort of predicted this. Why? Because the American empire starts collapsing. You're going to see stuff you've never seen before. And it's going to be survival of the fittest. And they're going to turn on you. Those who have in power, and Donald Trump, like it or not, as a billionaire, he's part of that class. So for the same logic, that's what I'm saying, be very, very careful. It's going to come back, 100%. For the same reason, MAGA, like, hey, those 2 American citizens that get shot, fuck them. They were in the way. They deserved it. Be very careful. So again, our foreign policy now is might makes right. We want it, we'll steal it. We want it, we'll kill it. We want it, we occupy it. Why? Because we're strong and you're weak. You don't think that's going to come to haunt many American citizens on the domestic front? Look at me. Why is everyone silent with my case? Absolutely corrupt the government. They don't care. Think about it. I'm a military veteran. This government doesn't care about me. Do you think they're going to care about you? So we go back to Schwarzkopf. What did he say? Partly character. And what is character? That sense of morality. You know, it could be part of Christianity. But if you don't have that sense of character, that sense of morality, I'm telling you, in the long run, it will not work. And I did briefings of it. Remember in my videos before about the FBI, how the FBI had no problems, doing the interrogations, which are basically torture down in the Middle East. In the short run, might makes right works. In the short run, it works. Human beings are very prone to fear. They're very receptive to power. In the short run, might makes right works. In the long run, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You're going to see, we're going to crumble inside. Why? Because sooner or later, that might makes right is going to turn around. It's going to hit you. And I'm telling you, what we're doing overseas, it's going to come back domestically. And so again, don't take my word. Look at Norman Schwarzkopf when he said it. Let me go through some questions. The cool kid, I'm willing to defend Wisconsin from Minnesota, but otherwise, I've said many times, if it's very difficult to define what America is, I can't. Start with your state. Think about it. If you can't, so a cool kid, you said you're from Wisconsin. That's actually, if I correct me if I'm right, I think a lot of the German immigrants went to Wisconsin. That's why, Busch beer, Wisconsin cheese, all that stuff. Even Harley Davidson, which is headquartered in Wisconsin. A lot of Germanic heritage in Wisconsin. But anyway, here's a test. You're having trouble defining what is America. Because I've said America first is a day late, dollar short. It's state first. But even state first, I'm from New York. I don't know. I don't know what a New Yorker is. It's thanks to immigration, thanks to diversity. But where are we? Do you see how dangerous this is? I'm in China. China is about the same size as America. Population, meaning the same land size as America. Population-wise, much higher. However, I find it much easier to define who the Chinese are. Also, you got to remember, 95% of the Chinese population is not just Chinese, it's Han Chinese. Then it's another 5% ethnic Chinese, Tibetans, Mongolians, the Uyghurs. So 95%, they're not just Chinese, they're Han Chinese. Is that one of the reasons that makes China very united, very homogeneous? Of course it is. So again, let's not talk about America. Let's talk about the state. Can't really define it. So again, sooner or later, you are going to find that there's going to be three. And I'm going to reiterate this and we're going to close this out. But first is, I think we're all agreeing now, meaning the common person. I saw this way back when, but I think the common person is now seeing that the world order is going to change. One. Two, the world order is going to change into a multipolar world. China and Russia are not going to rule the world. They're not. But they're going to rise. America's going to fall. And because it's a multipolar world, so many mechanisms are going to change, particularly if you're an American. Because as an American, you enjoyed being the super heavyweight champion of the world. Now you're going to get demoted. So things are going to be harder for Americans. Other countries are going to rise. I think Europe is swallowing hard medicine, but their future, they're going to rise. I think Germany will also going to rise, and they are now going to become a regional power, along with France, along with the UK. You're going to see something in Germany. I think it's good. So I think that's where we're going. Two, it's amazing how MAGA has just gotten to the point where, there is a bit of cult with the MAGA people. There's no doubt about it. And, Donald Trump wants to take Greenland. Fuck it, we'll take it. Hey, Venezuela oil will do it. Why? Because we got to do what we got to do because we're strong and they're weak. Be very careful. In the short run, that logic, that principles, that leadership ethos will work in the short run. In the long run, you will eat yourself. You'll eat yourself. And what's happening overseas will happen domestically. For the same reason that you're like, I back ICE. I don't have a problem with ICE as they focus on foreign nationals. I thought the two shootings that happened on U.S. citizens, I don't like them. I don't like them at all. And if you're like, you're wrong, David. Good shoots. Okay, we'll see how it goes. But one day it could be you. So that same sort of what happens overseas happened. That's when I saw in China with these American corporations, they will sell you down. And I'm going to finally do this where we're trying to unravel who Trump is. And I do think Trump is he's a phenomenon. He's a once in a kind. And I truly believe he has phenomenal leadership abilities. But I do think there's a dangerous road. I don't think he's going to fix it. And I'm going to say this. When we say America first, is Donald Trump talking about the American citizen first? Which, again, I don't know who the American citizen is anymore, except I guess you got a passport. Who's an American? But is he talking about the American citizen first? Or is he talking about the American corporation first? Now, yes, if he focuses on American corporations, that's not so much globalism. He's focused on America. But these corporations, they don't care about either one of us. I mean, you think you're going to get this oil and stuff like that and these mineral resources from Amazon's going there, Facebook. But I view him as a CEO of a corporation, and he is putting his business units, like he's a shareholder of a multi-conglomerate, and he's putting his corporations first. His American corporation, this corporation, that, all American first. But that's not necessarily putting, the tariffs will protect American corporations. They might not protect American citizens. And what do I think about these American corporations? They're destroying us. They've destroyed I work for Amazon. They've destroyed the mom and pop small entrepreneur. So I don't want to do a tangent, but we have to make sure America first. Are you talking about the American citizen first? Or are you talking about American corporations first? I can tell you America first. I never had a dream of Venezuela. Never had a dream of Greenland. Is that going to make us better? I think the corporations are going to make a lot of money in it. Are the American citizens it's going to help us? We'll see. But the one thing we are seeing is the world is changing and America is going down. And Donald Trump, in a sense of being worried, is fortifying the American position. He's going to give up Taiwan and Ukraine, which I agree with. Those would be horrible wars. You're not going to. So hopefully that sounds. I'm going to look at some final questions. Anything I see, American citizens first. Yeah, well, I'm an American citizen, and the Trump administration, as a military veteran, I mean, Trump never served in the military. He's not really helping out an American citizen. I said again, why am I not welcome back in America? Why am I on the FBI terrorist watch list? I think I should know answer. Meaning, I shouldn't have to come out on YouTube and ask people and do it. It's time. It's time for the American government that collects your paycheck from a tax. It's time for them to answer. Why? Why don't they want to answer? Because they're hiding corruption. Would they do that? I don't know. Have you ever heard the Epstein files? The government actually covering up something? So from my personal perspective, as an American military veteran, to be totally ignored. And if you think I'm wrong, I say, name me the MAGA politician that is the most MAGA politician that you know. Send me his email. I will CC you on it and see if they respond. They're not responding. And if they don't respond to me, they're probably not going to respond to you. And if they're not responding to us, why are you paying their tax money? So yeah, I'm not so far impressed with it. Because I see again, we live in the post-constitutional era, burning. Like I said, I think at the end of the day, guns and ammo are coming. At the end of the day, guns and ammo are coming. You're going to see it. I did videos when I first came out. People were like, "You're crazy. It'll never be a civil war. Americans would never kill each other." Yeah, they would. Whoever said they wouldn't? Would we really love each other that much as Americans? We are a corporation. How many people have worked for a corporation? All of a sudden, your buddy gets fired, you get laid off. Very few. I mean, and why are we in this corporation? Just to make money. Why do people come to America? It's money. It really is. We've turned into a corporation. I don't see other values. And look what Donald Trump has said too about Venezuela and about Greenland. These are actions that a corporation would take, not really a country. I mean, I want to do a change with Adolf Hitler, and I don't think Adolf Hitler deserves. Meaning the truth of Adolf Hitler has never come out on mainstream. But the point is from that sense of nationalism, there's a people. For Donald Trump, I don't know. I look at America changing into more of an oligarchy where the corporations are ruling. So no, I don't think the American citizen people care about. Again, if you don't respect military veterans, you don't have a country anymore. You just don't have a country. And if you're a military veteran, you think you get respect, that's fine. And if you're an American citizen who doesn't want to respect a military veteran, that's fine. I get your point, but just be honest. Don't be like a MAGA person that say, I support military veterans. It's kind of like Trump. But anyway, we'll see where this thing goes. Shane, guns and ammo. Like I said, since I've left in America, think about Donald Trump too. Not only are guns and ammo going to come to America, I mean, people, you don't think we're probably going to launch an attack on Iran? Well, that's going to be good. What about Venezuela? Does this not stop? Think about our war path overseas, not really stopping. And again, Biden was a horrible president, but he did pull us out of Afghanistan. Horrible. Donald Trump didn't. And I thought, like many MAGA people, he's going to be the anti-war person, but he seems to be on a war path. We'll see how it works. But I'm telling you, if that war path is going overseas, you don't think that's coming to America? You know, my thing, and I could do another video on ICE, how I would do it, but I'm getting to the point in America, I've said this before, I don't really care about Minnesota. If the people in Minnesota want to have Somalis, that's fine. I think national divorce. No one talks about it. Why? Because that's what our corporate leaders don't want us to talk about. Notice that it's never been Fox News or CNN. No, out of all the solutions, think about it. Of all the, no one's ever said, you know something, maybe we should just split. I'm sure there's a lot of common people from a state say, yeah, I'm fine. I don't want to pay my tax. Think about it. You think we're ever going to get to the bottom of this fraud that's happened in Minnesota? Never. You think we're ever going to get to the fraud that's happened in California? Never. You think DOGE is going to find all the fraud that's happening in our government? Never. What would be a common sense? One solution is, you know something? Why don't we just quit, get out, and stop paying taxes? Think about it. What if a state like Wisconsin says, you know something? I'm the governor of Wisconsin. The fraud, waste, and abuse has gone to such a level that there's no way for us to find it, correct it, and resolve it. So the best way to do is stop paying federal taxes. You still have to pay state tax, but at least state taxes at a smaller level will be able to audit it better. You don't think a lot of common Americans would be like, I'm for it, man. I mean, I left America. I could care less if we split. Notice it's never been on mainstream. Never. Do you ever wonder why? And that's what I keep saying about the far left and the far right. We're not the number one enemies. You're telling me out of all the leadership gurus, no one has ever suggested mainstream that maybe possibly one solution could be a peaceful separation. Why? This is part two, revolution. The federal government would never allow it. Why? Because the federal government works for the corporations, and the corporations would never allow it because they know it would dissolve America, and then many times it would be a knock-on effect. But you have to admit that's not been at least one possible solution that maybe we should say. I haven't. Has any governor? I guess Texas might be the. If I had to put my money on a state, probably Texas. Just the feeling. But you're telling me not one governor said, you know something? I know it's crazy, but just maybe one possible 1% solution could be let's just secede from the union. And that way we stop paying taxes. And if you stop paying taxes, you can't be defrauded anymore. Have you ever heard that? I've never heard that mainstream. I mean, obviously, independent like me, I'm talking about it, but have you ever heard that mainstream? Never did. I think I think a lot of normal American citizens probably agree with you? Probably. They're had it. So again, do I have a love affair of Minnesota? I could just split. I really could just split and whatever. Have them elect a Somali governor for all I care. Just let them go on their way and let's split. But we have to ask, so why hasn't at least somebody in the Washington, D.C. federal government, our politicians, have suggested that? Why? Because they all work for the global corporations and the elites. Of course they don't. So it makes you wonder. Let me just go through if there's any other. Abbott is part of the Bush. Again, I think it's to the point that you're never gonna, and eventually, like I said, there's only three solutions, and we'll end it here because I think a lot of people are just sort of on this train called America, and they know it's going to crash, and they realize nothing is going to happen. I say again, there's only three options. One, leave America, and it's happening. I need to do videos of the amount of Americans leaving more and more. Two, you're going to have to get off. So if you leave America, you don't pay taxes. Two, you get off the grid somewhere in America where you're self-reliant. It sounds pretty difficult, but I know there's Americans who could try to do this. So you're living in some rural state, rural countryside, and you're living sort of off the grid. So again, you're not paying taxes. Or three, I don't know. It's going to happen. Some type of governor state politics is going to take effect. Maybe it's not a state yet. Maybe it's a city where that city is going to say, we are not going to pay taxes anymore to the federal government, and we're going to succeed, meaning state politics. So the future is state politics. The future is just get off the grid and survive the storm that's coming. It's all you're doing. It's like, listen, we're going to get off the grid. We are about to enter a fucking apocalypse in America. It could be 1, it could be 3 years. We need to get off the grid and survive. Or 3, you just leave the country. But I'm telling you, you're going to start seeing more and more things you've never seen before. And it's the frog in the boiling water. You're going to get used to it where you're like, I don't know, isn't this normal? It's not normal at all. But either way, I think that's it. Let me just go through the fine. Nope, there are American citizens. So anyway, this is David Baumblatt from Terrabin's Leadership. I appreciate your support. If you click like, send this abroad or send this to other people, I appreciate your help. But again, what you're going to see, to put this again, is this might makes right ideology. It'll work in the short run. In the long run, we will eat ourselves. And you're seeing again that the American empire is in the decay. And part of that, and Donald Trump is smart, he's already saying he's giving up areas in the world like Asia, like Europe, because we can't defend it anymore. We are the Roman Empire. But he's fortifying his position with the Monroe Doctrine. It is what it is. We'll see where it works. But at the end of the day, I think it all's going to come down to, like I said again, guns and ammo. It's going to get worse before it gets better. And that's probably why you're seeing gold and silver doing very well. These are all well connected with each other. So David Baumblatt from Terrabin's Leadership, I appreciate your support to the Patriots. Lead to victory.